Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to show you how to make a cut for a piece of wood that you're going to use to make a raised bed. So we've got a pretty small one here that I'll be setting up later, and I'm just making my last cut here. It's important to make sure that these two sides are the same length and these two sides are the same length, so that you get a nice rectangle, a nice square rectangle. Square meaning the sides are all the same, and these little corners are making perfect right angles with each other. So to make this cut, I'm just going to line up my piece of wood. I'm going to make sure that this is nice and straight here. That looks pretty good. I've got everything else lined up nice and straight the way I want it when I finally fasten everything together. So I'm just going to use my pencil to make a line right here, because this is where I want the wood. This is the section that I want. I can use a square if I want. This line looks like it's a little crooked, but that's probably because my wood is a little bit crooked here. I'm using used wood and it's a little bit off to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this line straight with the top here, and I'm going to use my square to do this. I'm going to make a line straight down. You can see it came out a little bit off center there, but I'm going to line up my square again and make that line. Do this as many times as you want. Make a nice thick line for you to see easily when you actually make your cut. So it's really good to have sawhorses on level ground. These are some nice cheap plastic ones. And when we're making our cut, we want to make sure that we're wearing gloves and eyeglasses. So now that we've got our protective equipment, we want to make sure that the side that we're trying to cut is hanging off of the sawhorse. This isn't a great example because this side is actually a pretty two even sections here, so they're going to be just as heavy. Generally, you can put the section you want just right on top and it'll stay level if the piece was longer on this side. So lining up my saw is going to be an important part. I'm going to want to line up my saw just a little bit to the left of this line, so that way I make sure that this piece of wood doesn't end up too short. If I put my saw right on top of the line, the saw is actually going to eat up a fraction of an inch of the wood, which might make it so that things don't come up really square. It's just going to throw it off by a little bit. So I'm going to start my saw before I plunge it into the wood. I'm going to make sure it's nice and lined up. I can use the sight at the top to help me. It's hard with the shadow there, but we're going to do our best. So I'm going to start my saw. Nice and straight. So we ended up with a little chunk here. We're just going to take care of that by lining up our saw to it. It's gone. Put our saw on the ground. Don't remember exactly which piece was which. This looks like it is, oops, not it. This was probably the one I was trying to take. There we go. That looks perfect. That lined up well. So there we go. We're going to slap all this together in a different video.